What if I were to tell you that there was a player in basketball history who was so good that Boston Celtics legend Red Auerbach, a man who won a combined 16 NBA championships, said that the biggest mistake in his career was letting this player go? What if I said this man was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame as he was known as one of the greatest scorers of his generation due to the fact that he averaged nearly 28 points per game in college at Seton Hall, as well as scoring over 44 points per game overseas? And what if I said, legend has it, that on one historic night, this same man dropped 50 points on Michael Jordan's head? Well, listening to all of this, you'd probably assume that this player was some sort of NBA legend, but no. No, the topic of today's video, Nikos Galis, never stepped foot on an NBA basketball court despite getting drafted by the Celtics and then receiving offers from both the Nets and the Celtics later on in his basketball career. Which means we have to ask the question here: why did this basketball legend never play in the NBA?
And guys, I am very excited to say that this video is brought to you by Squarespace. We'll get more into that later, but for now.
So what's up guys, Mike here, and today we are looking at the career of Nikos Galis, a man who was the definition of a bucket at every single level of basketball he ever played at. Trust me when I say you are going to be in shock at just how much Nikos achieved as a basketball player, and you are definitely going to ask yourself the same question I've asked: what if Nikos Galis played in the NBA? Because it is clear he would have been a game changer. He was just that good. And again guys, the goal in 2021 is 2 million subscribers. So if you are new to this channel, hitting that subscribe button just takes one click of a button from you and it means the world to me. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all the new subscriptions. You guys are awesome. Please subscribe. And now I want to begin this story at the conclusion of the 1979 draft, where Nikos Galis was just taken by the Boston Celtics with the 68th pick. And yes, the NBA did have more rounds in their draft at the time, but even though he would have been undrafted in today's NBA, the Celtics were very hopeful in Nikos' potential. The reason for this was that at Seton Hall, Nikos had transformed into one of the best players in the nation and was seen as an unstoppable scorer during his senior year. As in that senior season, Nikos scored 27.5 points per game, an incredible amount, as remember, at the time there was no three-point shot. What's even more amazing was that Nikos shot nearly 58% from the field as a guard, and that in 1979, he would finish as the nation's third leading scorer behind Lawrence Butler and Larry Bird. This 1979 season led to Seton Hall head coach Bill Raftery calling Nikos the best player he has ever coached, which is why it should be no surprise that when the Celtics training camp began, many people were very hopeful that Nikos had a long NBA career ahead of him. Only there was one problem, and it was his ankle. Yes, during training camp of that season, Nikos suffered a severe ankle injury, and because of this, Nikos was cut from the team as the Celtics were worried that this ankle injury might affect his entire career, and they also had another rookie guard in Gerald Henderson who could replace Nikos. This would turn out to be a massive mistake, and as I previously mentioned, Celtics legend Red Auerbach certainly had regrets about this decision. In fact, Red would go as far as to say, quote, "The only big mistake of my career was not signing Galis back then," which are some pretty insane words when you think about it. Red Auerbach was involved with the Boston Celtics either as the team's coach, general manager, or president for over 50 years. To call Nikos his only big mistake must have meant that this really haunted him, and really, just based on the legend that Nikos dropped 50 points on Michael Jordan's head, is proof enough to me that this statement is true. Now, we are going to dig deeper into that Michael Jordan game in a bit. For now though, let's listen to Nikos' thoughts on getting cut. As he said, "It was my decision too. We sat down and talked. I had generous offers from Greece, coming from a poor family, to go overseas. It was a decision I never regretted because I fell in love with the place and people as soon as I got there. I've been there 38 years now. I never left, no regrets." And while Nikos might have no regrets, it's not hard to see why the Celtics and Red Auerbach did. Because during his professional basketball career, Nikos established himself as the best Greek player to ever play the game of basketball. In fact, before we even get into his achievements, just know that Nikos was the first European player ever to get a $1 million basketball contract. That in itself is insane. But when we look at Nikos' career in Greece, we find that things only get crazy. Because at the time of his retirement, Nikos had established himself as the best Greek player to ever play the game of basketball. According to Euroleague.net, in over 12 seasons of Greek basketball, Nikos lost just 6 times and was the league's top scorer 11 times.
And guys, like I mentioned to you before, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. When it comes to websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you to have a beautiful web presence and to run your business. Using Squarespace, you are able to create a community on your Squarespace website that supports threaded comments, replies, and likes. You are also able to use their powerful blogging tools to categorize, share, and schedule your posts too. Using Squarespace, you can connect with your audience through gated members-only content that is also going to help you generate revenue. You can also manage your members, send email communications, and leverage your insights all on one easy-to-use platform. And so guys, go check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MikeKorzemba for 10% off your first website or domain. That's squarespace.com/MikeKorzemba. The link will be in the description. And now guys, let's continue on with the video.
And when I say top scorer, I mean that Nikos averaged nearly 40 points per game throughout his prime as a basketball player, and in 1981, he put up a staggering 44 points per game for the season. On top of this, Nikos also led the EuroLeague in scoring 8 times, and in those games against much tougher competition, Nikos still averaged close to 35 points per game for his EuroLeague career, with a high of 37.7 points per game in 1988. Again, the man was a walking bucket, and here's why. Now to me, one of the most interesting things to look for when we watch Nikos' game is that on the offensive end, despite standing at just 6 feet tall and despite not having any sort of a great vertical leap, Nikos was able to become a lethal scorer through one of the most unique ways I have ever seen. We of course know about legendary moves like Kareem's skyhook and Dirk's fadeaway, and when it comes to Nikos, we can see that he definitely had a signature move of his own. Because when watching these clips, we can see that using his incredible core strength, Nikos was constantly able to knock down jumpers that were completely guarded. The way he was able to do this was simple in theory, but almost impossible in practice to pull off. Because while most basketball players basically have to shoot at the highest point of their jump shot, Nikos mastered the art of delaying his release until the defender that was contesting him was on the way down. This gave Nikos a near unstoppable jump shot, as even if you played near perfect defense, you would just watch as Nikos waited for you to fall to the ground, as he then proceeded to drain a jumper in your face. That's what defenders had to deal with on a nightly basis. That is what made Nikos such a legend. And as previously mentioned, Nikos was not only a scorer, but he was a winner too. Throughout his career, Nikos won several Greek League championships and Greek League cups, but the most impressive win of his career would come in the 1987 FIBA European Championship game. As throughout this tournament, Nikos was simply unstoppable and did the near impossible, carrying Greece to a championship win while averaging 37 points per game in the tournament. And to top things off here, Nikos would put up 40 points in the championship game as Greece won by just 2. This gave Greece just one of their 2 European championships in their country's entire history, and it's facts like that that make it easy to see why Nikos was seen as such a legend. But with all this in mind, before we do get into the Jordan game, you might be wondering, why did Nikos never come back to the NBA after playing some time overseas? And the answer to that does not come in the form of interest, because like I said before, Nikos was offered contracts by both the Celtics and the Nets later on in his career. The problem was, accepting those contracts would come with a huge price. FIBA rules at the time stated that NBA players were not allowed to play at the national team level, which meant if Nikos did accept an NBA contract, he could not play for Greece. And to me, it says a ton about Nikos and his national pride that he turned down the chance to play in the NBA because he loved representing his country that much. With that said, let's now talk about what you've been waiting for, Nikos' matchup with Michael Jordan himself. Now to be clear, this matchup did occur when Jordan was in college and Nikos was playing with the Greece national team, but we have to remember 2 things. 1, the talent gap between the rest of the world and the United States was so big at this point that the Tar Heels would actually beat the Greece national team, and 2, Michael Jordan was already 20 years old and had already begun to show some serious flashes of the generational talent he would become. With that in mind, it's no surprise that in this game, Jordan would score 34 points in his team's win. What is potentially shocking is that the legend goes, for his part, Nikos scored 50 points on Michael Jordan. 50 points. Now, to be completely transparent with you guys, this game is actually a source of incredible debate, because while a lot of people do claim that Nikos did score 50 points here, others state that the number was closer to 24, which is an absurd difference. And unfortunately, because this was an exhibition game played in 1983, almost 30 years ago, there is no stat sheet, so we really can't tell for sure. Regardless of anything though, what I do know is that after this game, Michael Jordan gave Nikos the ultimate seal of approval. approval. Because when asked about Nikos, a more than impressed Mike would say, quote, "He is a complete player. I didn't expect to see such a scorer from Europe, especially from your country." Yes, Michael Jordan was in complete shock that Nikos was not playing in the NBA and instead was playing in Greece, something that I can say a lot of people were in shock of at the time. Because by the end of his basketball career, it was clear Nikos Galis was one of the best players to never play in the NBA, and that was certainly confirmed when he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is awesome for Nikos. Again, he says he has no regrets, but I really wish we could have seen this guy play NBA basketball. I would have loved to see how his game translated to the NBA level. With that said though, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, the goal is 2 million subscribers in 2021. All it takes is a single click from you to subscribe and it will be much appreciated by me. And I do want to say you guys have been so supportive lately. Thank you for that. It really does mean a lot. Also, as you guys know, if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.